A brief message from your friendly neighborhood editing Jordan. We tend to try to keep things pretty PG-13 around here, but this is an improv podcast. So, who knows what we're going to say. Sometimes we throw in some swearing, some sexual content, and some violence. So, as a general warning, viewer discretion is advised. Also to be noted, the opinions stated about a certain tabletop role-playing game are just that, our opinions. We love the game and we like talking about it. So, any criticisms are really just all in good fun. That being said, wizards, please hire us. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on with the show. There it goes.
I had to ask.
Recording in progress, says the Zoom meeting.
Reporting in progress.
Drink Price Cranberry.
As we attempt to be entertaining for our podcast that is going to air on YouTube and perhaps Spotify, and who knows where else it may end up.
That's
you at home,
the only places I'm disseminating it to. I don't know where else it would end up if not there.
Those of you at home are watching in confusion, either because you've never been here before or you have been here before. There might be disdain on your face. You may be clicking off and I'm talking to no one but us right now.
I'm gonna upload this one to the Steam Umineko community tabs page.
Levi said.
Please? That'd be really funny.
Ultimately, they do not know that life is just a simulation, though.
He's doing
and all that they do doesn't matter anyway.
He's doing a bit to introduce the episode.
And those that do know that life is just a simulation aren't aware that the life that they're in is actually predetermined.
Do you want to tell the people what we're doing, or are you just going to keep doing this for the rest of the episode?
Those that know will know, Pertuset said to Levi on the bottom dimension.
This sounds like a Twilight Zone intro. I'm expecting Rod Serling to appear from behind you.
Jordan said, referencing another bottom being.
Did you see that? That was crazy. Anyways, I'm Rod Serling.
That is not how that works.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Nat One Podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertuset.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
We're talking about like meta-narrative and that kind of stuff going on in modern media today,
Fight Club.
right now.
It's peanut butter jelly time.
Not necessarily modern anymore. How old is Fight Club?
It is a meta-narrative, though, and it's probably one of the best examples of it.
Fight Club started it all. 2000.
It did not. No, the term meta-narrative was coined in 1979.
Fight Club's the first one to ever come out
ever. That is not correct. No, it was
and his name was Robert Paulson.
The term was coined by a French philosopher in 1997.
Oh, well, now you're making me not want to talk about this anymore, Jordan.
His name was Robert Paulson.
His name was Robert Paulson. That is not the name of the philosopher that coined the term meta-narrative, though.
His name was Robert Paulson.
It was not.
Although one could argue that the coining of a term does not yet even indicate. I'm not even doing a bit on this one.
Oh, okay.
But to coin a term does not invent a thing.
Well, I didn't say he invented it.
True. Because the one that we talked about.
For me, it was the tone of your voice you were giving it. It made me think you were still going
I'm
a bit still.
And today we're going to dive into the unknown. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god, I love Over the Garden Wall.
The one we talked about on stream that I thought was the earliest historic example that I personally was aware of was an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
Yeah.
Though whether or not it's truly a meta-narrative is hard to say, but it does follow a man as he deludes himself into going somewhere only for it to be revealed at the end that he was never moving anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, so for those of you at home who don't know what Pertuset means when he said on stream we were talking about this, in one of our, actually I think, well not as soon as this episode comes out, one of our more recent Umineko streams, we just like offhanded broke down into talking about how Umineko does meta-narrative for 10 to 20 minutes, and then we were like, man, we should make a podcast episode about this because this is really interesting. So that's what we've decided to do today. And that's what got us inspired was Umineko, because it does a lot of meta-narrative.
It is peanut butter jelly time.
It is peanut butter jelly time. Way yet.
Mm-hmm.
I will also point out that Don Quixote is also technically a meta-narrative, so it goes back like a really long time.
True.
Precisely.
Well, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in.
But no, my thing specifically on stream was I was like, I feel like it's become a lot more prevalent in modern media and people, as in people who make like movies and films and TV shows and stuff, like they really like it now. And it's almost in like 50% of everything you see now is you see the stuff that's like, but was that really real the whole time? And is it like, and there's all this stuff that's like, oh, you have to interpret it for yourself because oh, that's right. Specifically, what I was getting on about was unreliable narrators. That was my thing. Was I was like, unreliable narration specifically seems to have become very, very popular in
I do
recent
like an
times.
unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's become more prevalent. I think as it continues to happen, much like with everything, like with analog horror and so many things, it's going to become so heavily oversaturated if it isn't
Mm-hmm.
already, to the point where there's going to be a counterculture against meta narratives and stuff to be like, this is just a story. This is just what
Yep.
happened. The end.
Yeah.
The narrator is all knowing.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're starting to see that happen already because there are some films where honestly it's so many levels of meta that you get to the point of like, what is it? Like, I'm thinking of, this may not be the best example, but Being John Malkovich, I think, is probably a really good example of a meta narrative because it gets to a certain point where you're so many layers removed from what's going on where you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Mhm.
another great example is Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster.
Still
That one
haven't watched
got
it.
so many layers deep of what's happening that by the end it just ended and everyone was like, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know if he was real. I don't know if I'm real. And I'm frustrated about it.
Yeah. I honestly I do think I feel like there's almost a already a subconscious counterculture to it because what you guys are talking about makes me think of the joke that people say of you have to have a very high IQ to understand blank.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
And so yeah, Rick and
True.
Morty, 2001 Space Odyssey, Tenet, all of
Oh
these
my God, I
movies,
hate Tenet.
all of these movies and things that come out that like people are like, well, you can't really appreciate it unless you're intentionally like going out of your way to break it down philosophically and all these things. And everyone, not everyone, but a large majority of people think that's stupid and make fun of it.
See, that is really stupid, and that's something that I find really funny in just the general film sphere, because a lot of the movies that you see that people apply that principle to, where they're like, no, you just don't get it, you haven't thought about it hard enough, are the ones that are just so basic surface level that you don't need to consider them at all, but then they completely ignore the subtext as well as the imagery and like the hidden meaning behind things that they just completely write off. This also has to do with inherent misogyny in the film industry, but that's another episode. But like, there's so many films that have come out that are so many layers deep, and also that we kind of forget our actual meta commentary and why they're meta narratives. Because I was talking about Fight Club earlier. The reason why Fight Club is so many layers of meta is because not only like we've all seen Fight Club, we know that it's the weird mind fuck of like the unreliable narrator and the guy's not real and everything. Spoilers if you haven't seen Fight Club for some reason.
Tyler
But
Durden.
also Fight Club is also satire, as is American Psycho. And so it's really funny that people stick to and identify with both of those films so heavily for the reason that it's being made fun of. So like the entire point of both American Psycho and Fight Club, it is a commentary on like toxic masculinity and how prevalent it is in society and how easily people get sucked into that mindset. And both of those, I know for a fact that Fight Club was written by a gay man and it was a commentary on toxic masculinity. I don't remember who wrote American Psycho.
A
I
woman
want to
wrote
say,
American
was it a
Psycho, I
woman?
believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
original book, anyway. I don't know
So,
about the
yes, the
screenplay.
book. I couldn't remember between the two. I was getting my wires
I
crossed.
I don't think she
Yeah, it's
necessarily wrote
commentary.
the screenplay, but I do believe she had a hand in it because I'm pretty sure I remember watching something about how when they were picking out the actors for it, maybe it was her. She specifically was like, I want Christian Bale because
Mhm.
I think he fits the role or something like that. I might be misremembering, but I thought that was something that happened.
Very
So
nice.
But it's just kind
yeah.
of funny because you get a whole extra level of meta when you consider the original artist's original intention for the piece that has been
Mhm.
completely lost to time, and also the culture surrounding these pieces of art.
Hmm.
It's true, and then you
Because I
can go
mean,
another layer deep, another layer deep, and you can say that the intention of the artist has gone to a point where it is unnecessary because the lasting effect is what is in the community's conscious.
Precisely.
mhm.
That's what I was about to say is the meta narrative gains its own meta narrative.
Yep.
Too many layers.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
the
both of those
disaster
are
artist is another one
satire.
for that.
Oh, I love the disaster artist.
A movie about the making of a movie that's, well,
The best movie ever made.
yeah, whatever she said.
I have both of them on my shelf right there.
Yeah. And I think that the reason people get sucked into any type of story in any medium that has meta narrative so easily is in many instances it will be it's twofold. The first being if we're going to be a pessimistic, an optimistic view about it, I combined them. I made them
I
into a
like
possum.
it.
Um, if you're going to be an optimist about it, the one thing is if you're considering doing a meta narrative as a writer, that probably means you're relatively smart. Maybe not super
You
smart,
have to have a
but
very
enough
high
to
IQ to
know.
try to do a meta narrative.
Most people probably aren't even going to think about doing one for whatever they're doing, or they may not even know about them depending on who they are. So to consider doing one all the way to the point where it's going to get approved, you have to be somewhat intelligent to do it, which means that they're probably going to make a relatively decent work.
Hmm.
If not, then the other thing is it's baby's first meta narrative. The first time someone experiences a meta narrative, they're going to be like, that's brilliant. I've never seen something like that before in my life. I love this. Nothing else compares.
Which is how we get the culture around Fight Club.
Hmm.
Precisely. Godfather, it's just good, mind you. It's just good.
Is Godfather a meta narrative? I've never seen The
No,
Godfather. Okay.
no.
Goncharov is also excellent.
I've never
Mhm.
seen any of the Godfather films. They insist upon this. No, I'm kidding.
They're quite good. I really am partial to part two. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. That's I had a point, something about unreliable narrators that I was gonna go on about, but then I forgot because
Because
we
you're an unreliable narrator.
we went through a lot of talking about Fight Club.
I got
I,
excited talking about
I
satire. I really like satire as a
there
meta
was
narrative because
there
it's
was
the best form
something
of
in
meta
there. You
narrative.
said something, and my brain was like, "That's a good point," and I should keep talking about that. And then nope,
Oop.
it's
Well, he's
gone.
an unreliable narrator in Fight Club because the dude doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah. Or does
What?
he?
I thought he did.
Or does he?
See, I still like the thought process of was he the dude that he met on the like at what point was he not real?
Hmm.
Did he meet the guy on the plane and then fixate on the guy on the plane and then create this entire identity around this dude that he met for 5 seconds on a plane ride? Or did he never exist at all? And it was purely just delusion. He wasn't talking to anybody on the plane.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I agree with Pertuset that eventually it's probably going to get the script flipped on it and people aren't going to like it as much anymore because we've seen things like with Fight Club and like with American Psycho and a lot of other things that we've mentioned today where they did it relatively well, like
Okay.
Pertuset said. And so people look at that and they're like, "Oh, this is a great way of interpreting media. This should be in everything." So then it starts becoming a more well-known trope to do that, and then people who aren't gonna do it well try to do it. And then it's not done well, so people are like, "This is getting old. I don't like it anymore. I'm tired of the director acting like he's smarter than me and better than me." And then people aren't gonna want it.
How did
So
we come back to dystopia and M. Night Shyamalan in the same conversation?
True. M. Night Shyamalan is omnipresent. He's like the devil. Get it? Because he made the movie Devil? Anyway,
I don't watch his movies. I don't.
that's the one about a haunted elevator. Not kidding. Not kidding. Not kidding. You should look at the poster art. Look at the poster art for Devil right now. Look at the poster art for Devil.
I'm
Look
looking
at the
up
poster art for
right
Devil.
now.
Jordan, I see your hands not moving. Look at the poster art for Devil.
I know what
Poster
poster it
art.
is.
Oh, okay.
Devil M. Night.
I'm looking it up.
While they're doing that.
Oh
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
my!
It's he's very subtle,
Does the whole thing
Is he?
take place in an elevator?
pretty much.
When did this movie come out?
2006, if my memory serves correctly.
I
Wow.
don't remember.
Dang.
2010.
It was 2010.
Yep.
Okay, that's even
That's
worse.
crazy. That's crazy. That's
Oh, that
Anyway.
reminds me. I wanted to see Late Night with the Devil. I never watched that one. That
I
sounds
heard
really
I
good.
heard that was very good, yeah.
I did too. My friend that's really big into like weird horror said it was excellent. That poster also came up when I searched Devil poster, and the
Mhm.
poster for that is actually really sick.
But yeah.
Yeah, I
M. Night
know.
Shyamalan. He's the devil.
I was gonna go on a whole tangent about Adam McKay and how he's up his own butt.
We've been a little on that recently. We've been a little on like pretentious directors and
Well, they deserve it. They deserve
That's
it. We are the
because
voice
it's
of
my
the people.
favorite topic. You
Yeah.
can do pretentious well, or you can do pretentious annoying.
Hmm.
And we're talking about the ones that do pretentious annoying.
It
No, I
is the
don't
job
think-
of the people to correct these awful directors and remind them
Yeah.
they're human.
I don't quite think, thankfully, I don't quite think we've gotten to the point where it's so overbearing in media that people are like, get it out of there. I hate it. I don't want it anymore. Because, I mean, obviously there are many, many, many other things that we see regularly that people are harping on about being problems, whether you believe that or not, in modern media. So we're not there
David
yet.
Lynch is good.
Yeah. I wonder who's going to do it. Who's going to be the tipping point, do you think? Who's going to make it bad in the
I'm gonna be
zeitgeist?
honest. I thought Megalopolis was gonna be it.
Really?
I thought Megalopolis was gonna be the point where everyone's like, we don't need film anymore. I thought that was gonna be it.
I did hear that it was like really bad.
I did not watch
Like
it.
very, very stupid.
I heard Adam Driver did good.
it was stupid
Adam
in the
Driver
sense
also
that
always does well.
they
Yeah.
tried to make everything sound so smart in it that it looped back around to being stupid.
It's like a Lopolis, but mega.
I watched
I-
the what are they called? It's the ones that you guys really like. The guys like it's the guy he does the skit and there
Pitch meetings?
Yes, pitch meetings. I watched the pitch
I
meeting
love
on it.
pitch
Ryan George
meetings.
pitch meetings.
The pitch meeting was very funny for Megalopolis.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few where at the very end the producer guy was like, "No, we're not doing this. We're not."
Yeah, that's about I don't know. I still don't like Adam McKay, but I
I
won't go
can't
too
think of
much
what
into
else
it.
he's done. Like
Yeah.
it's such a nothing. I'm trying to think of the rest of his filmography, and I'm coming.
McKay's,
Yeah.
he did Vice and Don't Look Up,
Don't
and
Look
before
Up.
that, he pretty much exclusively did comedies.
He did Step
did.
Didn't
Brothers
watch any of those.
and
Yeah.
Oh,
Anchorman
that's
Yeah.
okay. Never
Yeah.
mind. Then he's in nothing.
and
I
Talladega
Yeah.
Nights.
Well, that's what happened. He had one movie that was like, it was satire, but it thought it was really smart for doing it. And so
Mhm.
he was like, "Oh, I'm a genius. I didn't realize." And so he quit doing comedy and exclusively did satire, but it is not subtle in the slightest, any of it.
It
It is
also-
the least
yeah.
subtle satire of all time.
It doesn't help if you have a director that is good at one thing and then everyone says, "OMG, he's so smart and amazing," completely misinterpreting the point of his work.
Yeah.
And then they themselves are like, "I am?
I guess this is what I'm good at now.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that you can go into an existential tilt with your films after directing Talladega Nights.
Exactly.
what?
He
Like,
needs to know his
sure,
place,
those are-
man.
Yeah,
He's-
there is definitely an intersection between doing comedy well and doing horror well. We've seen it proved. Jordan Peele is the gold
Mhm.
standard.
Yes.
And there are a lot of artists that have shown that you can do two things very well, and they're usually two things that kind of are two sides of the same coin, because you cannot have horror without levity, and then there are some comedies that if you took away the laugh track, it'd be fucking terrifying. Like,
Friends.
I think that there are two, yeah. I think that that horror and comedy are two sides of the same coin, but it also depends on the comedy because even though some of the we talked about Jordan Peele last week, but I really like Jordan Peele. Even though some of the Key and Peele skits will make you go, okay, that's funny because it's stupid. Some of their writing is admittedly very intelligent, and I think in order to write good comedy, you have to be remarkably intelligent. That's
Yeah.
why I think like Tim Robbins' comedy is hilarious, and I think that he could honestly do horror really well. I
Oh
would
yeah.
like to see
That
a
would
Tim
be
Robinson
so
horror.
that would be
It'd be great.
interesting.
I think it would be so messed up. I love it.
Bad
At least
things
I-
happen with us on planet Earth.
At least I don't have to go into work tomorrow.
Again, it's one of those things. If you take away like the comedic tilt to I think you should leave, some of those skits I think
Are
could
very
be horror.
scary.
If you change the soundtrack and the lighting just a little bit, it's terrifying.
What was the one, the Buff Boys?
Oh
Yeah.
my
That'd be a prime
God.
example.
Yeah. No, I think that you can do two things very well, but I also think that you have to acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses. And if you are directing Talladega Nights and Anchorman, your place is not in existential horror or dystopia or no.
One of McKay's hit shows, Don't Look Up, received not only 4 nominations at the Oscars, including a nomination for Best Picture, but it was a satirical black comedy starring Tyler Perry and Jonah Hill. You want to tell me that was subtle? You want to tell me those are the people you cast when you want subtlety? Those are your
Yep.
subtle actors right there?
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely a very...
I don't think people
Yep.
understood what they were watching when they nominated that.
Well, no, I mean, it's the thing, it's like...
They were simply watching cinema, Jordan. They were
McKay is a perfect representation of Hollywood, I feel like, not gonna lie. Because he thinks he's way smarter than he is. And he thinks that he is way smarter than his audience.
That's the thing. You can never think you're smarter than your audience. That's where you go wrong. And honestly, that's what I saw go wrong a lot in film school, like especially in my screenwriting classes, because there's so many people in my classes that would just assume that they were so much more intelligent than your target audience.
Yep.
Then why are you writing for that target audience?
That
Like, why,
is...
like that's if it's not something that you would want to watch, why would you write it?
That's exactly it. That's the thing. It's not only that the people in, like, the ones that are doing these, the people that are giving them the awards are also the ones that are in the same boat. They just didn't get as far to be a director. So they were just like, wow, he's just like me, but he managed to do it. It's genius. No one else gets it, but I do. And then there's like legions of people saying the exact same thing. These people don't get it. Me? I'm his top guy.
I'm his top guy. I understand his message.
This tough guy, I can watch the wind.
Me, very smart Hollywood person going up to Adam McKay being like, I knew that was satirical, by the way. Good job. You probably don't get this much, but you and me, I'll say
There's something going on here. There's something
you're close to my level. I'd say you're pretty close.
You're close.
You know they would. That's
Oh,
them.
no,
That's
you
all of
would.
them.
That would be the
That's-
compliment, is I think we're almost as smart as each other.
Me when Minecraft Parkour Civilization is more subtle than anything Adam McKay's ever made in his entire life. But yeah, I don't know anything about film and TV shows being meta narratives. Okay, maybe not film, TV shows. There's a whole other thing. We can talk about She-Hulk, and we can talk about. Oh, there was another
WandaVision
one
to
that
a
came to
certain
mind.
extent.
WandaVision. We can also talk about Kevin Can F Himself. That's another great one.
Oh, yes. I started that one
Um,
and I really, really liked it when it came out, but then I lost the streaming service that it was on and it's now on Netflix and I need to finish it because I love the breakdown of the sitcom tropes. Because as I
Yeah.
said, you can turn comedy into horror very easily.
Indeed. I watched all of that one, and I thought it was great at first, but then it lost the plot halfway through, sadly.
That's upsetting.
Well, it lost its what would you say? Like its unique factor. It kind of lost that. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It kept doing what it was doing, where it was bouncing between them depending on who was on screen to like it indicate perspective.
Mhm.
But it's just I don't know. They kept prolonging the fact that the main character, I can't remember her name. I can only remember Kevin because his name's in the title. But they kept prolonging her getting her vengeance to the point where it felt like they were purposely stretching it out so that way it would be a TV show, and at which point it became a commentary on itself because it was about TV shows being stretched out for so long, and it became a TV show that became stretched out for too long.
So then I
Only
have to
with two
wonder if that was
seasons.
intentional or just a matter of happenstance with how, I don't know.
I feel like
Too
it can't
meta.
have been. I feel like it can't have been intentional, but I don't know.
I think that that's one, I don't know. Again, I need to go and finish it because I was very interested in the comment and the initial concept. And I love the actress that plays the main character because she's on
Yeah,
Schitt's
she
Creek,
did
and
a
I
great
love
job.
Schitt's Creek. Oh, is it Annie Murphy? Annie Murphy.
Uh,
My words are not coming easy today, guys.
Murphy.
I don't know.
Annie Murphy, I think is her name. Because
Beats me.
I've seen clips of it a lot, and I watched the first couple of episodes, and I think that one probably would have been best served as a limited series just to be a closed
Probably.
commentary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been good. If it was like 4 hour long episodes, it probably would have been really good.
Mhm.
Especially because that's the thing, like the opening 2 episodes and then the last 2 episodes are really good because I don't know if we've talked about it with Levi, but for your context, Levi, if you're not aware of the show, it's a typical sitcom style where it's got the what's that called, multicam view.
Yep. Multicam
Um,
sitcom.
and it's about a guy and he's got his wife and he's got a good best buddy of his and his dad's living with him too, and his buddy has a sister who's always there too, and they're in the living room and they're yakking it up, and then there's a laugh tracks that play, and then the wife's always the butt of the jokes, right, just like in most sitcoms, because they're like, you're nagging on me, quit nagging me, stuff like that, or it's like, just go back to the kitchen. It's that kind of awful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, and then it goes into a single cam style, and it's her like having like a panic attack, and it's like, oh my gosh, so true, so true though. If this was real life, it'd be awful.
Hmm.
The ending, though, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'm going to say a little bit. The ending was really nice because when the comeuppance sort of starts to finally happen for the main character, it completely gets rid of the multicam, which up to that point, any scene that had the man was multicam, no matter what. And it was really cool to see him in single cam because all of a sudden it got very scary.
I would imagine that I need to watch it now.
Yeah.
That's been on my list to finish. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'll have to bring back my take on it because I feel like if they did do 2 seasons, maybe there was a reason that they did 2 seasons. Because also I know that the intention was to try to flesh out some of the best friend side characters that definitely don't get fleshed out in sitcoms. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I'd have to see the whole picture in order to have any actual criticism on it.
I don't know. I feel like they could have taken it in a different direction if they wanted to do it
Mhm.
than what they did. It just got too prolonged, but I don't know. But it's okay. It's still better than most schlock that comes out. I feel like a good counter to that, though, of the meta narratives and things that still is just really good is anything Vince Gilligan's made because he's my goat. He's my personal
True.
goat.
Vince Gilligan has done through Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Those are two very much anti-meta narratives that are just, here's the story. You get all the information. Don't worry about like unreliable information or anything. You know everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so well told to you that it's like, this is peak. This.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's good. And the Bookosphere counter that's bad is James Patterson. Sorry, James Patterson fans. Nothing he makes is good.
There's so much.
Is-
He
is
writes
James
so
Patterson
much.
right?
I don't know how it's possible for one human to write that much.
I don't
I
know.
guarantee you
what
could
he-
make an AI James Patterson that just like
Easily.
all
Oh,
it'll do
easily.
is copy his scripts and replace the names. That's all you gotta do. Oh,
He wrote iFunny?
he
Yeah.
did.
Dang.
He's got every genre covered.
True,
It's
that's
kind
true.
of absurd.
Wait till you hear
Along
about
Came the
his
Spider.
YA book, Maximum Ride.
Oh, Maximum Ride is a real big thing when we were in middle school. I remember that. I never read it. I was more into Witch and Wizard, which was his other YA series.
He
Mhm.
had 3 books come out this year.
So
Yeah.
far,
The Murder Inn, Hard to Kill,
and the 24th
House
hour.
of the Cross.
Oh,
So that's the thing. I think it's
Dang.
really funny because you have a spectrum, and on either end of the spectrum are James Patterson and Brandon Sanderson. And I feel like they are the same but also opposite because Brandon Sanderson writes a hell of a lot, but all of it's
Mhm.
good. James Patterson is just kind of throwing shit at the wall.
Now, when are we going to talk about La La Land is my other thing.
I will always talk about La La Land. I love that movie.
La 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 la.
I want to hear more what Levi's saying.
Yep,
No,
I think
you
that Levi
don't.
should lead this
It's-
conversation.
That's from a dang oh, what was it? It was that animated crocodile movie that bombed that came out a couple of years ago.
Lyle Crocodile.
Yes, Lyle Crocodile. That's
I have no idea what that
it's
is.
it's the scene where okay, wait, let me break it down for you, Mark.
Was he voiced by the One Direction member that's dead? I don't
What?
remember.
No, he was voiced by some famous male singer though, and
I
I don't
don't know
remember
who,
it
and
was.
for some reason I had it in my brain that it was the dead One Direction member.
But no, trust me, I know like half of the plot to this movie simply from one single scene that I
Why?
watched that's in a shit post, which is that Lyle Crocodile, he's a crocodile that can sing. That's his whole thing. He can't talk. He can sing though. And he's got this old like Italian guy in New York that adopts him, and he's trying to like get him to sing, and it's not working for the longest time. And then one day, like the old Italian man's about to give up, and right when he does, that's what Lyle Crocodile does is he goes la 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 la.
This is based
And
on a
the old
children's
man,
book.
the old man, like he looks like he has like shell shock when it happens, and he like turns over to him. It's not even that funny, but it's funny because it's not funny.
Yeah. True.
I want to see if this is what happens in the original iteration of this, because it's a children's picture book. That's where
No,
it came from.
It is not a good movie, and it got
wouldn't imagine
nominated
it
for
would
like
be.
it got nominated for something, and it has an entire like fan base of stans who
That's
like
deeply
really
upsetting.
think that it should have won the award that it got nominated for, but it should not have. It was a bad movie.
It didn't get nominated for like animation or something, was it? Because it wasn't. It was mostly live
I think
action.
I think it got nominated for like best musical movie of the year when it
No.
no, like it was something very egregious. It was.
Oh my god.
And there are a bunch of people that are like, it should have won, I can't believe they snubbed it. And
That's so stupid.
I don't know, man.
should have thrown in an unreliable narrator in there, maybe. And it would've- that could have brought it over the
Italian
edge.
dude is an unreliable narrator.
I just wanted to talk about the ending to La La Land.
Okay,
You could talk about yeah, you're the one who said you wanted to hear more of what I was talking about. So
Yeah, this was your fault. You encouraged this.
go on,
Little did they
talk about La
know
La
it was
Land.
not because of me, but because of an outer force besides me that compelled me to do it. No.
Karen.
Yes.
Dylan.
What happened at the end of La La Land? It was weird.
What do you mean?
The whole weird dream sequence at the end of La La Land.
It was what could have been, but unfortunately the reality of the world, what could never be.
But it was just very artsy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was directed by Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
It wasn't directed by Don Cheadle.
I didn't think it was.
I was saying yeah to what Jordan said. That's all I really had to say about La La Land. I came in here fully expecting to talk about Undertale and Doki Doki Literature Club since that's what I wrote a collegiate paper on, but
It was
I will
produced
also
by
talk
Fred
about
Fredberger.
What are you looking at?
It was produced by Fred Berger.
Okay.
La La Land was. From The Grim Adventures of Billy
that
and Mandy.
has nothing on the guy that worked on the original King Kong, Kevin Bacon.
Not true.
Wait, no, it wasn't. It was Chris P. Bacon. That's right. It was Chris P.
Yeah,
Bacon.
Chris P. Bacon. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon's a real person.
Yes. But no,
Chris
I
P.
think,
Bacon also was a real
Yeah,
person.
Chris-
But
I do think that La La Land is kind of a meta commentary a little bit. Like it is definitely a commentary on like the Hollywood machine and the strain that it puts on relationships, and also how some of those dreams aren't meant to be, and the way that
Mhm.
like being in that industry kind of wrecks relationships and things like that.
true.
I think I really like La La Land because it was a really good example of a golden age musical, and I saw it as the kind of resurgence of good musicals, but unfortunately I was incorrect. That was like a one-off.
Mm-hmm.
A diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
She was a La La Land girl. He was a Marriage Story boy. Could they possibly live together in harmony?
He was a taxi
Was
driver
he in
boy.
a Marriage Story?
Who?
Ryan Gosling.
No, that was Adam
No.
Driver.
Yeah, that's
was-
why I was confused.
No, I was just saying, like, imagine like there's two people that have a meet cute, and one of them's a La La Land person, the other's a Marriage Story person, because they tell the same story.
Hmm.
I would watch La La Land remade, but it's Adam Driver instead of Ryan Gosling.
Every day I wake up and hope that you're.
Good soup.
Like I like Mr. Ken in La La Land, but also now I'm imagining Adam Driver in that movie, and I need to see.
That's what. Listen, okay, La La Land had music, which Marriage Story did not, but otherwise it was the same story.
I mean,
Both were
yeah.
done excellently. I would watch both of them again, but they was
That's
just
why I'm-
insanely similar.
So I'm curious to see the new A24 that's starring Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield, because it looks like it could either be a subversion of those tropes or it could just play into them beautifully, and I'm very curious to see how that happens.
Yeah.
I also just really like Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I wish Andrew
Mhm.
Garfield would do more musicals.
Garfield.
But either way, at the end we kind of realized that Sans either knows he's in a game or at the very least is aware of the multiple timelines.
I was
Which
gonna
is why
say,
it's really
I feel
interesting.
like Deltarune is more of a meta commentary than Undertale. Undertale definitely has those aspects, but I feel like they're very localized on characters like Sans. Whereas Deltarune, I think, although obviously the whole game's not out, and I don't even know when the next chapter of the game's gonna come out because it's been years.
The next one was supposed to come out soon, but now it's not gonna.
Yep. But it's heavily implied in the first two chapters of Deltarune that like it's going real hard into there is a wall between you, the player, and the character you're controlling, and they are two different people. There are several events that occur which allude to that being the case.
It is very fun because there's the moments where you can't control the character that you've otherwise been controlling, at which point the character acts very out of character from how you've been controlling them, which does make it seem like they're aware that they're being controlled and they don't like it.
Yes, yes.
I mean, that makes sense. Would you like it?
Well, if they're making me into a good person, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like if it was a cute girl, I mean,
I don't think that's how that works.
True, me in my video game world using the Ouija board to be like, "Are you a cute girl?"
yeah.
Make me jump once for yes, twice for no. Yeah, like Deltarune.
Makes me jump 3 times. Now I'm just confused. No,
I have no idea what happened in Doki Doki Literature Club Plus.
I haven't touched Plus. I don't think it changed much. I think
I think something happened, but I don't know what.
I just know that as with many visual novels, this is a problem that I have. I'm not like other people where I play to get all the roots. I usually play it through once and then I'm like, well,
That's the
I'm
story
done.
I got.
Yeah.
That's kind of
so-
what I want to play Doki Doki Literature Club.
Well, then you might want to cover
Yeah.
your ears, Jordan, because I'm about to spoil some
I'll
stuff.
go for it.
But the one route I played was I went all the way through I got to the Monica ending, and then I convinced Monica that like she was also doing a bad thing, so I basically just erased the entire game. And I was
Yeah.
like, dang, I was sad after everything that happened. And then Monica sings a little song for you at the very end of the game, and I was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think for video game, actually, when did Doki come out?
2017,
2017. When did Undertale come out?
2015.
2015. So yeah, mid 2010s then just seemed like it kind of grew in popularity to do that.
Indie
kind of
devs
stuff.
were on something, man.
Yeah.
Indie devs were like, I've been sitting on this.
And it's still there a little bit. It's just definitely not as in the zeitgeist anymore, I think, just because like it happened now, and so now it's almost like we kind of consider it a little bit more normal to have in video games.
I feel like with those two, it kind of hit a point where one of two things happened once again. Either game devs saw that and was like, well, I'm not going to be able to make something better than that.
Mhm.
Or Game devs were like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna make something like that," and then audiences played them and were like, "Well, that was nothing like Undertale or Doki Doki Literature Club," and then it just never saw the light of day. Yeah,
Oh, I think what's that one that came out that apparently anyone heard of? You play as a woman and she's a CEO of this company and she has like strange mind powers.
Control.
Yes, Control. That was like kind of like that, and it wasn't bad, but it didn't really hit either.
Exactly.
Like it was like eh. Eh.
It fell into obscurity.
Yeah. Um.
That's what happens.
But yeah, I do think because you've already mentioned Jordan. I don't know if you mentioned this on the podcast or if you mentioned it just to us in general. But Slay the Princess. Also, it's not
Yes.
100%.
That's the biggest meta narrative one I can think of in
really
recent
wanna play that. I think
times.
Stanley
There-
Parable probably would be too.
True.
It doesn't have 100% meta narrative, but it depends entirely on which route you're taking in the game. And there's like 40 routes you can take in Slay the Princess. And like 50% of them are very meta narrative, and then the other 50% are like not at all. But yeah, no, it's super, and it's very well done, and people loved it. It's a very good game.
Hmm.
So when it hits, it hits. You just have to know
Indeed.
how to do it.
I still have the most respect for Toby Fox with Undertale and Deltarune just because the other games that have super huge meta narratives, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like Doki Doki Literature Club and Slay the Princess are clicking simulators. All
Yeah,
you do
true,
is
true.
you click your options and that's it. Undertale was able to incorporate the video game elements
Yes,
into the
it
meta
is
narrative,
also a game.
Yep.
which
It
is
has
very
fun little things
impressive,
to do in it.
including Sans dodging an attack, which up to that point never being done. That's everybody had their jaw drop moment when they first saw that. Everybody was like,
You can't do that. That's what the video game did.
precisely. Another one that's meta but isn't a narrative, that I think is the opposite of this, is one that's meta but it's all gameplay, no narrative, is Baba Is You. I don't know if you guys ever
I
saw
don't
that or
know
heard
that
of
one,
it.
no.
I've not
It's
heard of this at all.
sheerly a puzzle game.
Oh, blue.
And the way it works, if I remember right, it came out a while ago, is it's like a coding puzzle game. So you need to make the Baba equal win. So it needs to say Baba is win, but you have to move the blocks that say is and win, and you have to move your Baba so that way it lines up to say Baba is win. And sometimes you'll have to move words that are like allow Baba to open gate. Like you'll have to it's kind of like a coding simulator, like I said. But it's so funny and it's so meta because it's literally Baba is win.
Yeah, I'm looking at stuff on it right now. There's this one right here. It has a bunch of words and it says door is shut, key is open.
Yeah.
And then
See?
person puts key is more next to key and it multiplies it across the entire level.
See?
The level gets filled with keys.
It's so silly. That one came out a little while ago, but that one's very meta just without the narrative.
Mhm.
And of course, Umineko is a meta narrative in
Yeah.
many ways.
But Umineko's kind of getting a little on there in age now too.
Yeah, it came out in 2009 or 8 or 7, somewhere in that
Yeah.
span.
So it's almost, not quite there, 20 years old now.
I'm just saying it made Undertale, but
I wouldn't put it
My-
past Toby Fox. He likes those Japanese animes. He like
true. Those Chinese cartoons.
My question of the episode is D&D a meta narrative?
No,
Well, I mean that's entirely dependent on who your DM is and how they're doing
it's just not.
stuff.
It's just not.
It's
Nope.
I mean, you incorporated it when we did Umineko in your game, Pertuset.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because we've done Umineko, and also canonically one of your characters, Levi, has talked to you.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, it just purely depends on your DM because I like that kind of idea that, that's my way of world building. And I was very much inspired by, this is something we haven't talked about at all in this, the Elder Scrolls. In the Elder Scrolls, their deep down lore, if you dig into their deep down lore, is that the entire world of the Elder Scrolls is actually a dream. That is being dreamed by one singular entity who is like God. And if he ever wakes up, the dream ends. And like the universe, so he's like the sleeping, slumbering god. And so that's why in the Elder Scrolls universe, there are characters who reach enlightenment basically. And when they reach enlightenment, one of two things happens is because when you reach enlightenment, you realize you are in a dream and you are a being that basically doesn't actually exist. So you can either go, oh, and poof out of existence, Or
I think you have told me about
yes,
that. Yeah.
or you can say, I simply persist anyways. I exist and matter. And then you basically become like a god within the dream, which is what has happened with characters everyone knows, like Vivek and Talos from the Elder Scrolls universe. So that's something that I was partially inspired by for my world building. And that is very meta in that sense of it's not necessarily like, oh, these characters all know they're in a video game, because that's kind of how some people portray it, is they know they're in a video game. They don't necessarily know they're in a video game. They just know that they're in a universe that's not necessarily real. But then they simply decide, no, I still exist and matter. And then they do. And yeah, I did. I think I saw some drool over there. He's like, a fly got in there.
You good, buddy?
Got his mouth hanging open. What you get?
I just been misspelling metal this whole time. I forgot about the L at the end.
What you thought this episode was about metal?
Whoops.
Like steel?
Iron.
But steel is heavier than feathers.
That's a lot of lions. Hey, we hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to. If you really like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on YouTube, and look for us on Spotify. If you'd like to see us continuing to do more fun projects in the future, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can find our page linked in the description above all of our other social media links. And finally, if you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and check out some more skit-based content and things like that, check us out on Twitter and TikTok, links in the description. And hey, thanks!